Good morning all, hope you're doing well, hope you had a good weekend. We've got a risk on our calculation now. There is something we do need to mention, that there's a caveat, is that when we do go from risk off to risk on the risk calc, we see a lot of chop because basically you need to still flush out the retail guys and their positions. So we're still not out of the woods yet, even though it says green, buy risk. It's quite a subtle change, and also we have to expect, the flush isn't still, it's still being required because we still need really that to be a little bit more negative, because we're just basically at zero. We have a flush out today, it's going to really encourage them to short, and by doing so that number is going to go away from zero and it's going to get a greater negative number. And what should happen is that they should be selling on average quite heavily, because that's like the normal thing that the herd do. They shouldn't be buying. They were long for ages, and of course, indices fell and they got punished. So today could be a little bit of a caveat where we're going to see some more chop and perhaps more downside for risk, and then that should that should cement the deal, and then they should sell it, right? And then it'll be a trap. Pound is a large mover. They shorted it, but we've got that macro event from the new Prime Minister today. So after I've done the bulletin and I've done a 2-minute video for the private feed, and then after the COP data, I'm going to be watching the telly, because the new Prime Minister should make quite good sort of entertainment today, and especially if you're positioning around the pound. It should move it quite a lot. It might, or you think it'd be positive, because the Sunak's got banking experience. He's got a banking background as ex-Goldman Sachs, so it should be good for the pound, but we'll have to wait and see. Sentimentally, it's okay for a buy. We have also exceeded ADR a lot on pound crosses. We've gone well beyond 1% on a lot of crosses, so be careful there. We could be a little bit overstretched on the day. Yields dumped, that's indicating a softer USD, but they are very much out of bonk, and 6 month is greater than the 5 year, for example. So that's saying there's risk off near term, as opposed to 5 years from now. There's more sort of uncertainty and fear near term than there is in the future. So these need to come down, but there's lots of reasons for these to pump. Just look at the geopolitics and all that stuff. Yeah, keep an eye on that 26.5 in the VIX. We go below, we'll be quite risk on. And there's the shifting on EJ, EU, German 30. EU did move a little bit. AJ did as well. US 30, and the dollar crosses are indicating sell, because they've gone long, basically. So we try and do the opposite of the retail guys. Weekly majors, so pound USD is worth watching. It's going to be a critical instrument to check against the USD. Perhaps the pound's got enough strength today from the new Prime Minister, maybe, and then it can set the precedents for the others, and then they can rally. So the pound USD is definitely going to be worth watching, and that's why I'm going to be watching the news after I've done my bulletin and those videos. So I probably would wait for the pound to come down and then or to buy, because if you buy now, we're at ADR high, and it's still quite early, 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'd probably wait for a retracement on pound crosses, and then you look to buy at at support. NU is the leader from last week, and UC is the laggard. So Kiwi is doing quite well. You could say it was very oversold. Technically, 24% in a year, it's a bit ridiculous. We don't have a trade of the day today. We had one, but I woke up at 7 o'clock and it already made 1.3% gains. So had I woken up 4 o'clock in the morning, we could have caught that and we could have made some nice pips. But I need 7 hours sleep, so hopefully you guys don't mind and you understand. It's just unfortunate. I wake up at 7 and the trade of the day has already been. So if you are up earlier than me, or you were based in Asia, or somewhere in the world where you're not asleep, then you could have caught that. So pound Aussie had rallied a lot, and that was our trade of the day. However, the bubbles were working, so you could have you could have seen that trade opportunity using the bubbles. Just go to the average bubbles, and there's the pound Aussie, right? So it's super simple, and that's a 1.3% move on the day, and that's just using that logic. So this is in the strong buy, this is in the strong sell, right? So you put strong versus weak, and so that's a little thing there. I have to get 7 hours sleep because I've got to be trading today, and I don't want to be trading while tired as well. So just proof the bubbles work. Maybe wake up a bit earlier than me if you want to catch the trade of the day. It's really simple to see the trade of the day. You just look left, look right, and then you buy, you sell. It's really simple. You don't really need me to tell you the trade of the day because you can look at the bubbles. Yeah, so there's the tiers and things. So if you want to join us, there's the options, and you're more than welcome to join. S&P is the support line. That's Friday's bounce right there. And I think we probably might need a little flush out still, and then that should encourage the bears to wake up from hibernation and they sell, and then it'll be a trap. And then, we might even come down to test that horizontal, and it will bounce. So could be like a horrible, ugly day just because we need that extra one last little flush on our risk calc. So will they buy? So let's have a look. They went long here, and they got a bit rinsed. They did profit, and then they got pretty squished. And then at that point they sold, and so we came up and they got punished. However, will they buy? We don't know. This is why I'm going to do a quick 2-minute video in Discord, and we can cover that. What's happening here on this particular candle? I've got a feeling they're going to buy, and if they buy, we'll fall. US 30 is a little bit cleaner. You can see how choppy this is, but this US 30 is a little bit cleaner, and they sold it, and there's no indication of a sell or buy because the lines aren't going to cross. If they go long, then we'll fall. However, there's quite a distance between the moving average and the SSI line, and so they got punished, and then they got punished. And DAX is making, well, it made a buy here on this candle. Quite horrible back-to-back bearish candles in the hourly, so it's really encouraging to short. And I think it did this, and then they're like, oh, I give up, and then they sold, so we bounced. There's the head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders. That was worth watching, and up we come. Gold, well, the weakening of the dollar has helped gold here. It did coincide with them selling it, so there's like a fundamental, sentimental confluence there. A weak USD should boost gold because gold / USD, so there is that component there. So yeah, that's them selling it, so up we come. So it's a good example of the FXCM trading station. Lots of movement on the SLCs, and EU is worth noting where that is, where that liquidity is. NU is bonkers. Look how far away the stops are on that. I think they just got fed up with being stopped out. The largest stop loss cluster is AU, which I covered briefly in Discord, saying how this is going to be a potential target for a bounce. We are a sell, and do note that Aussie bubble is weak, so we should be coming down to get that stop loss cluster. So yeah, that's fine. They're getting squashed, and that's fine. Yen is currently paying them, but we've got that central bank intervention looming. They might do it again today, so just be careful with the yen. I think maybe don't trade it, because if you've got Bank of Japan, they're sort of monitoring the price. They're going to intervene if it goes too much not in their favour, and if it goes against their wishes, then they're going to intervene. So the yen's got a poor score because of the fundamental stuff going on there. Is that so much is that they sold it and then they got paid. See, the negative tells us they sold it. Technical is down. Okay, so they did get paid in yen. Be careful. I think that's probably the key. Right, now last week was quite horrible in a way, but in a way it wasn't too bad because our losses were small. We had a 6 pip loss, 23 pip loss, 16 pip loss, so the weekly total was minus 45. We didn't have a trade day Monday, and we didn't have a trade day Friday. We don't have a trade day today, but it would have been valid had I woken up like 4 hours earlier than normal. But that's just what it is. I can't publish a trade a day when we've exceeded ADR, which is your average daily range. So that's the reason for no trade of the day. It's a bit of a shame, but I need my sleep, so that's important. So we're away from strong buy and we're away from strong sell, with lots of neutral and not much conviction. Technically, dollar yen is still strong buy, so it's technically sentimentally a good buy. Fundamentally, perhaps not, because the yen and the Bank of Japan. Economic calendar. Now we've got the pound data, we've got euro data, and then we've got US PMI manufacturing. So be careful there, especially with euro, pound, or dollar. Keep calm, always trade safely. I'm going to do a quick 2-minute video now, and then I'm going to do the COT data, and then I'm going to be watching the news because we've got the new Prime Minister today, and it should be quite interesting. I'll speak to you guys soon.